So let's zoom out and let's talk about Bitcoin and put it in the context of what we were saying, which is, this system is broken. This system is not working now the way it's set up. I'm not saying it can't limp along. I'm not saying the dollar is going to go away. I'm not saying that the world's reserve currency is going to collapse. None of that stuff. But we just know that this system is not working, especially it's not working for just ordinary people. I mean, you look at, the ordinary working American. First off, we don't make stuff anymore. And I can prove that too. It was basically Clinton and the party in power at the time. And this is not a political discussion, but the Democrats, at the time, there was a push to get China into the World Trade Organization in 2000, most favored nation status, then afterwards. And at the time, they produced 6% of the world's goods. Today, they're exporting up. In another few years, they're going to be at 50%. And that's in a period of just a couple of decades. So where did that manufacturing come from? It came from us. After World War II, we weren't a deficit nation. After Bretton Woods is started this slide into basically us exporting dollars and importing things. And it's caused so much damage and so much pain for people. You look at the average working family today, say a couple of parents and their kids, 2 kids. What kind of life do they have? Both of them have to work. I mean, they're in a hamster wheel. They're running their ass off. Sometimes, my daughter one time, we have a lot of kids. My daughter one time had like 3 jobs that she was juggling around. You look at the price of healthcare. I mean, it's just off the charts. And, if you want to try to do something out of school, or if you want to try and stay home, or if you want to do, a nanny, have a nanny or something, it's just unaffordable. I am hopeful that Bitcoin can somehow eventually become this reserve. This is a great chance for us to talk about some of the shit that's been going on here since President Trump came into office. Nick Carter wrote an article about a month prior to him coming into office, arguing against Bitcoin being included as part of the strategic reserve. And we're going to have a lot of different terms come up here. I'll try to clarify them or try and keep them consistent. And, his idea was that Bitcoin would basically weaken the dollar, that it would weaken faith in the U.S. dollar from around the world. I disagree with that, and I'll tell you why. If you look at the assets that we hold in these reserves, we hold gold. And why would we hold gold? In fact, if you look at other nations, you look at Russia, India, and China, what have they been doing over the last decade? They've been stacking gold like a son of a bitch. And they're not doing it to weaken their currency. What they're really doing is they're trying to find assets that somehow can strengthen their currency. I think Bitcoin is that asset. I think Bitcoin can do that. I would like to see Bitcoin in a strategic reserve. Now, unfortunately, what we saw in the executive order that came out about 48 hours after President Trump took office, that was not what I was hoping for. This executive order establishes a digital asset stockpile, which I just think of it as like degen asset shit pile, because that asset stockpile of digital assets, there's only one that needs to be in there. It's Bitcoin. There is no other asset that you're going to find that can hold a candle to Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin and Bitcoin only that belongs in that reserve. Senator Lummis gets that. The other problem is that, of course, even if he had gone along and named Bitcoin as part of a strategic reserve, and that we started allocating to it, which we didn't, by the way, means that whoever comes in next in office, I mean, they could immediately overturn that, and we'd just be sitting there, with our fingers somewhere. So I want us to see something passed in legislation now. That's my push. I've written both my senators. I've written my House rep, which, by the way, my House rep is Thomas Massey. So I'll bet Thomas Massey agrees with me, but he hasn't come out and said so, but I'll bet he will. But everyone that's listening or watching this, you need to write these people. And it does make a difference. And why? Because we want to get the Bitcoin bill passed by Senator Lummis. The problem with Senator Lummis's bill is that right now she doesn't have any co-sponsors. We need to get other members of Congress that are signing on to this bill. She needs to have some co-sponsors. She needs help here. And the Bitcoin community can make that happen. But I want to see this occur. And I'm not for liquidating gold or for revaluing gold. Well, actually, the gold certificates, I mean, revaluing that could make sense. But I don't want to see us liquidating gold in order to get Bitcoin. I want Bitcoin in that pile. I want us to start committing to that. And I honestly believe that someday in the future, that's going to make a big difference for our country. I believe in Bitcoin. I believe it can fix money, and it can be the base layer to our currency. Because, money and currency are not necessarily the same thing. Money is portable, fungible, divisible, verifiable, scarce. It can be durable, seizure resistant. I mean, it's all these things. Currency is just that piece of paper, that piece of shit. Like what I've got in my pocket right now, this thing, that's currency. And this is just paper. It's nothing. It's nothing here. It's only enforced by violence. And I want to see Bitcoin as part of our reserve assets and our currency.
You mentioned about, again, the China. It makes me think of the 1800s, and you mentioned a couple things over the last 10 minutes where China, I believe it was during this bimetallism era where China got down the silver rabbit hole and kind of sunk their own ship with silver in a way, because they kind of chose silver, at least from my studies and what I saw. And then we were like, oh, we're going gold, England, the British pound, what was happening there. So that's really fascinating. And I agree too. I don't think we need to sell our gold. I mean, again, we have the world reserve currency. You can sit there and sell bonds into the market or whatever you need to do, and then buy. People give you cash or whatever it is. You can get cash and have the printer, and you can buy Bitcoin with it. So I don't know.
We've got a printer.
Yeah, exactly. We got the printer. The only thing I can think of is trying to weaken the gold network. Obviously, of hey, we're going to demonetize gold more, and I don't know. I would love for your take on this, George. I actually just thought of it. I was interviewing somebody, and it was I don't know if it was Peter Dunworth. It was somebody, and they were saying that, which I had not heard anyone say this yet. But if you really want to be, and this is the world we're living in right now, this is how we've been acting, the empire, I guess, which is we could print whatever we want, right? So we could sell the gold, sell it in the market, demonetize it a lot, or just really weaken the gold market and leave, China or whoever with it sitting there with the bag, so to speak. Now it is gold. However, we have the printer, and we have the biggest army, the biggest navy, the biggest military in the world, Air Force. So we could theoretically go and just take whoever out and take their gold back. So you could demonetize the network. You could print all what you wanted, buy as much Bitcoin as you wanted. And then, oh, by the way, we can now go take out whoever we need to go take the gold back. And so it's if you really wanted to get game theoretical about it, and I was like, yeah, you're right. You are right.
If you want the answer to that question right there, and you like that spicy clip, check it out here. Come on. We'll see you in there. But if you want the full interview in its entirety, all the spicy clips put together, and you're not going to want to miss it, believe me, then check that out here. Go on. We'll see you in there. Do it.